Museum of Modern Art in New York City, lovingly known as MoMA, is the greatest modern art museum in the entire world. But what if I told you that some of its most famous works of art are missing? Today, I'm going to show you 5 world-changing masterpieces owned by MoMA that have somehow vanished from view. These iconic works of art are standard bearers for modern art and have shaped art history. But nobody in the museum could tell me where they were and when they'll be back. Let's uncover these masterpieces together, right here, since you can't see them anywhere else. And stick around till the end because it's probably the most moving and the most likely part to make you feel human, which is what art is supposed to do. The first one, Roy Lichtenstein's Drowning Girl from 1963. This work stands as a landmark work of pop art, exemplifying the artist's ability to transform mass-market imagery into high art. It's inspired by a panel from the DC comic story Run for Love. Here, Lichtenstein meticulously reinterpreted the emotional intensity of the original illustration. In its comic source, the full panel includes the drowning girl's boyfriend clinging to an overturned boat, adding context and narrative. Lichtenstein, however, dramatically cropped the image, isolating the distressed woman in her anguished thought bubble. "I don't care. I'd rather sink than call Brad for help." So by removing the boyfriend and the background, Lichtenstein creates a more ambiguous and intense scene, turning the woman's despair into an emblem of romantic drama and existential defiance. Even the name Mal is replaced with Brad, a subtle change that Lichtenstein deemed more heroic and emblematic of idealized romance. Lichtenstein's technique elevates the comic book aesthetic to fine art. Using hand-painted Ben-Day dots, a nod to the mechanical printing techniques of comic strips, he creates an illusion of mass production while maintaining painterly precision. The dots add depth and texture to the heroine's skin, lips, and the menacing waves that surround her, as well as a grainy, flattened quality that mirrors the visual language of comic books. The stark black outlines and contrasting colors further amplify the emotional drama. Through Drowning Girl, Lichtenstein blurs the line between low and high art, transforming a disposable medium into a powerful commentary on popular culture, consumerism, and the intersection of art and everyday life. Today, the painting remains one of Lichtenstein's most celebrated works and a cornerstone of the Museum of Modern Art's collection, making it even more shocking and disturbing that it's missing from view. Number 2 on the list of missing art here at MoMA, Henri Rousseau's The Dream from 1910. A triumph of imagination, transporting viewers into a surreal, moonlit jungle teeming with wild animals, lush foliage, and mysterious figures. Despite being entirely self-taught and never traveling beyond France, Rousseau created vivid, fantastical landscapes that challenged artistic conventions of his time. He was known as Le Douanier for his day job as a customs inspector. Rousseau retired in 1885, though, to pursue his artistic dreams on a modest pension. Living in Paris, he found inspiration not from first-hand experiences, but through botanical gardens, natural history museums, and the Jardin des Plantes, a combined zoo and garden that housed exotic flora and fauna. Rousseau's visits to these hothouses filled him with wonder, and he once said, "When I am in these hothouses and see the strange plants from exotic lands, it seems to me that I'm entering a dream." This sentiment is visually realized in The Dream, where reality and imagination intertwine seamlessly. At the heart of the composition is Jadwiga, a reclining nude believed to be inspired by Rousseau's Polish mistress. Transported from a Parisian salon into this dreamscape, she lounges on a red divan while a dark-skinned flute player enchants the scene with unseen music. The surrounding jungle, rendered with obsessive detail, bursts with life, featuring lotus flowers, lions, monkeys, a snake, and towering plants painted in over 20 shades of green. The curves of the snake mirror the woman's figure, creating a subtle sensuality that blends the domestic with the exotic. The surreal nature of the painting inspired endless interpretations. Rousseau himself explained, "The woman asleep on the couch is dreaming she has been transported into the forest, listening to the sounds from the instrument of the enchanter." This dreamlike quality makes the work a direct precursor to the surrealist movement, influencing artists such as Salvador Dali and René Magritte, who similarly used bizarre juxtapositions and subconscious symbolism. Exhibited at the Salon des Indépendants in 1910, The Dream marked the pinnacle of Rousseau's career. It was met with much admiration, yet Rousseau would not live to see its lasting impact. He died shortly after its debut. Today, housed at the Museum of Modern Art in New York City, The Dream endures as a masterpiece of modern art. If only we could still see it. Number 3 is quite a mouthful, but it's wonderful. It's Paul Signac's Opus 217. The name is actually Opus 217, Against the Enamel of a Background, Rhythmic with Beats and Angles, Tones and Tints, Portrait of M. Félix Fénéon in 1890. Whew. Okay, this is a vibrant homage to both Neo-Impressionism and its intellectual roots. Created in 1890, as the title says, the painting captures the likeness of Félix Fénéon, an art critic, anarchist, and editor who actually coined the term Neo-Impressionism to describe the pointillist works of Signac and Georges Seurat. In this striking portrait, Fénéon is shown in left profile, his figure composed of bold, precise lines that echo the rhythmic patterns of the title. His nose, elbow, and cane form a deliberate zigzag pattern, while the cyclamen flower he holds mirrors the upward curl of his goatee. Signac, fascinated by Charles Henry's theories of visual rhythm and color harmony, fills the background with a swirling kaleidoscopic array of dots and angles, a reflection of the algebra of visual rhythm that Henry advocated. This elaborate backdrop, likely influenced also by Japanese prints and textile designs, transforms the painting into a symphony of movement, evoking the sensation of music. The painting's revolutionary approach highlights the neo-impressionist aim to create a purified visual experience, where color and form are orchestrated to produce optical harmony. As Fénéon himself defended in 1887, the uniform application of paint in tiny dots could transcend criticism of resembling mosaics or tapestries. Take a few steps back, he urged, and the technique vanishes. The eye is no longer attracted by anything but that which is essentially painting. Beyond its visual innovation, Opus 217 serves as a tribute to the artistic and intellectual partnership between Signac and Fénéon, united by their anarchist ideals and belief in the avant-garde as a force for change. The painting celebrates art as a synthesis of emotion, science, and form, linking the precision of pointillism with the dynamism of abstract patterns. While some contemporaries found the work overwhelming, its significance as a masterpiece of Neo-Impressionism became clear over time. Gosh, I wish I could see it besides having to look in a book. Okay, we're on number 4, and we only got one more to go after this, but this one is one of my absolute favorites. It's beautiful. This is Paul Cézanne's The Bather from 1885. In The Bather, Paul Cézanne is reflecting the distinct approach to form, space, and the human figure. This masterpiece solidifies his pivotal role as a bridge between Impressionism and modern art movements like Cubism. So, during the 1870s and 1880s, Cézanne painted multiple scenes of bathers, a subject that allowed him to explore classical traditions while also at the same time challenging contemporary artistic conventions. In this work, Cezanne presents a lone young man standing with his hands on his hips, his pose a little bit awkward, yet monumental. Unlike traditional bathers in Renaissance art, idealized and harmonious, this figure appears physically unrefined and emotionally distant. His downcast gaze and his stiff posture, one foot placed slightly forward, convey a sense of psychological isolation, brings a lot of questions to mind. The figure's form is outlined in a distinct black contour, which sets it apart from the background while at the same time echoing and blending into it. This was a hallmark of Cezanne's ability to dissolve boundaries between the foreground and space. Cezanne's approach to color and brushwork in the bather is absolutely revolutionary. While Impressionist painters were fascinated with capturing light and atmospheric effects, Cezanne was more concerned with the solidity and structure of his subjects. He once stated that his aim was to render perspective solely by means of color. The muted, unified palette in this work reflects the typical figure-over-background hierarchy, creating a sense of interdependence between the bather and the surrounding space. This tension, combined with Cezanne's brushwork, lends the composition a timeless and almost sculptural quality. Interestingly, unlike his contemporaries who painted bathers from live observation, Cezanne actually based this figure on a studio photograph. But by transforming a posed subject into an outdoor setting, Cezanne blurs the line between reality and artistic construction. Cezanne's bathers, including this one, would later influence artists like Pablo Picasso and Henri Matisse, who admired his innovative handling of form and space. I wish I could see this painting because it's beautiful, but you get to see it right here. All right, everybody, we've made it to number 1, and it's going to really melt your heart. You're probably already familiar with this famous image. It's actually owned by MoMA. This is Dorothea Lange's Migrant Mother, Nipomo, California, 1936. Perhaps the most iconic photograph of the Great Depression, this masterpiece of the new medium encapsulates the era's desperate struggle with poverty, displacement, and human resilience. It was taken in March of 1936 while Lange, the photographer, was working for the Resettlement Administration, later renamed the Farm Security Administration. The image became a powerful symbol of hardship and the human condition. The subject of the photograph, Florence Owens Thompson, a 32-year-old migrant farm worker, is depicted huddled in a makeshift tent with 3 of her children at a pea pickers camp in Nipomo, California. Lange, the photographer, carefully composed the image, excluding all unnecessary details to focus on the essentials: the weary mother's face and the children's bodies pressed up against her. By instructing the children to turn their heads away from the camera, Lange preserved their anonymity while emphasizing the mother's central role as a figure of strength and care. Lange's skillful use of documentary photography captures an extraordinary wealth of detail. From the frayed fabric of Thompson's clothes to the shadows etched across her deeply concerned face. These specific visual elements anchor the photograph in reality, while at the same time lending it a universal quality that resonated and still resonates all across America. The anonymity of the children and Thompson's contemplative gaze allowed viewers to project their collective experiences of suffering and survival onto the image. So while the photograph is now synonymous with the Great Depression, its backstory highlights the complexities of both art and its representation. Lange, the photographer, later admitted that she had only briefly interacted with Thompson, who actually expressed discomfort with the photo's enduring fame and her unintended role as the face of Depression-era poverty. Despite this, the publication of Migrant Mother in newspapers and magazines had an immediate effect. It brought national attention to the plight of migrant workers, and it mobilized federal aid for the Nipomo camp, though Thompson and her family had already moved on by the time help arrived. The photograph exemplifies Lange's belief in the social power of photography, and that endures. It's not just a means to document conditions, but a tool to inspire empathy and action. Today, Migrant Mother remains a cornerstone of documentary photography, symbolizing both the struggles of the past and the enduring power of visual storytelling to reveal our shared humanity. So now that you've seen what's missing from MoMA, you might be curious about other legendary works of modern art and where you can find them. In the next video, I'm going to take you to another museum far, far away to show you one of the most celebrated pieces of modern art in the entire world. This painting that I'm going to show you defines a whole culture and movement. Movies have been made about it, and most people know right away who it is. Yet most people have no idea where to see it. I'll give you a hint. The artist is a woman. Or two? Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment telling me which artwork today was your favorite. If you love museums and other great travel videos, welcome to the club. See you in the next video.